This happened the first night in my new house. My parents had just split up, and my father and I, a 16-year-old male at the time, had just moved in. I've always been a night owl. Our first night there, I was in my room watching a movie. The houses on the street were pretty close together, I would say about 10 feet apart, with a chain link fence in the middle. My bedroom window was directly across from my neighbor's side door. This was about 4 a.m., if I remember correctly. I had just smoked a bowl of some really good weed when I hear this car with a tuner sounding muffler pull out front, possibly into my neighbor's driveway. I thought this was odd because I had already met them. It was a preacher, his wife, and a newborn baby. I knew my neighbor's car didn't sound like that. I hear their chain link fence make some noise, so being the overly cautious, paranoid person I am, I peek out the window and see a fairly tall guy dressed in all black have his hands cupped peeking into the door. Instantly, I get goosebumps and bad vibes. I start to blame the bowl of weed for making me paranoid and trying to tell myself nothing is wrong with this picture. That it was maybe their brother or possibly a friend of theirs? So I lean back into my bed and I'm about to unpause the movie, but just then I get the feeling I should take another look. Just as I look out the window for the second time, the guy is still standing there, then proceeds at that moment to reach up to the porch light, start unscrewing the light bulb. In a split second, it goes from lit up to completely pitch dark. I'm thinking, oh shit, what do I do? Should I call 911? Wake my dad up? Do nothing? At that moment, I see my orange hunting mask, the kind with the eyes and mouth hole cutouts. I put it on. I figured it would be more scary to this guy than a 16-year-old kid. So I put the mask on and peek my head out behind the shades. I have my face by the glass. I knock really hard 4 times. The guy turns around and I wave as creepy as I possibly can. I couldn't see his face, but he was probably shitting bricks. He ran as fast as he possibly could and peeled out. My dad went over in the morning after and told him and informed them what had happened. They found their light bulb untwisted and a huge knife on the ground. My husband began working overnights a few months ago, so this means my dog and I usually watch TV and sleep the night away before he gets home. Sometimes I'll just draw all night while the dog sleeps at my feet, and when the weather's decent, I'll take her out for a jog, or I'll take her to my friend's house so we don't die of boredom. One night, while drawing fan art for my favorite band, I decided to put my drawing pad down and go for a walk to get a soda for myself, and maybe a pack of peanut butter crackers for the dog. I got the dog ready and made sure the cat wasn't hiding by the door so she wouldn't dart outside. We left soon after I located the cat snoozing on our couch. I remember this happening around late summer because our town likes to prepare for Halloween 2 months in advance. Pumpkins started to appear everywhere, and my dog liked to try to stop and steal tiny pumpkins from cute displays that local mom and pop stores had put up. I cannot count how many times I'd have to apologize for my dog's rude behavior. But that's not really what this story's about. While jogging carelessly and dragging my 70-pound pit bull mix away from her beloved tiny pumpkins, a man across the street started to yell something. I couldn't make it out, so of course I turned around and asked him what he had said. We had a short and uneasy conversation that went something like this. Yeah, what are you doing out here? It's kinda late. Just taking the dog for a walk. Why? It was like 9:30. Isn't the old man supposed to do that? I was wondering if I even knew who this asshole was. He'll be back when I get home. Oh, really? Does he always let you take the dog out this late? After the man said that, he started moving across the street quickly and would not break eye contact with me. I started backing away like I was ready to run, but my dog started growling and snarling. Somehow my dog knew shit was not right. The man snapped out of his bullshit and looked down to see my dog flashing her pearly white teeth. My dog lowered her head and started growling and snarling more at this idiot. The man tried to laugh it off, and took one more step forward. This sent my dog into a fucking rage. My dog lunged and barked like she was going to rip his head off. I thank God I had a good grip on her leash, or the man might have been dog kibble. The man finally got the hint and turned back. He said something else I couldn't make out as he left. I don't want to know what he would have done. I was happy to have my dog with me that night. I just wanted to add that my dog has always been very friendly, and she's never tried to attack anyone before or after this incident. Again, I'm just so glad that she was there to save my ass from some idiot that night. So, creepy guy that's overly concerned about women that walk their dogs at night, let's agree to never meet again. Or my dog might take a good bite of your ass next time. This was a year ago when me, my little brother, and my mom lived in an apartment complex out in Howell, Michigan. I was 18 at the time, I'm 19 now. Some backstory to this: both my parents were divorced, and I'd stay at periodic times with both of them. My mom had moved several times from Jackson to Flint to Detroit and finally Howell. Well, Howell is a small town between Brighton and Lansing. For those who don't know about it, it's rather redneckish, although some famous people are from here. Good and bad. It has a lot of clan support, sadly, but the rapper Bones is from the town, which halfway redeems it anyways. It seemed like a normal day. I walked for half an hour or so to a small gas station just across the street from Meijer to get a nos and a couple of monsters. While there, some guy was behind me, too close for my comfort. I'm a bit introverted and don't like people too close to me unless I know them well, or think they're cute. I bought the nos and monsters, thanked the lady behind the bulletproof glass, and turned to go on my own way. I'm usually able to tell someone's emotions or a feeling if they're trustworthy or not. Most of the time, since I've always been able to naturally pick up on that. As I looked over, this guy was between somewhat skinny and pudgy with some pretty lifeless eyes. I won't say anything about that. I figured he could have been bipolar or depressed. Heck, my parents thought I had APSD for the longest time, when I just don't really like people or loud crowds a lot, since they're extroverts. Anyways, I started to walk home, and for those who don't know, I have to walk across a busy intersection just to take a path across a wooden bridge and a park to get to the said apartment complex. Now, I felt like someone was staring at me, and it was the dead of summer and the day was muggy as hell. I kind of turned around and looked at the guy who stood so close to me. He was probably 20 feet away. I didn't hear what he said, but it sounded like, "You're just like me?" I don't know what he meant, so I kind of laughed it off and said, "What? I didn't hear you." He didn't really say anything and kind of walked off. I figured, finally, he left me alone. I can go home and order some Chinese. Anyways, I got home and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was about 10 p.m. and night rolls around. I'm sitting in bed Skyping with a friend who is in New York. We were talking about some annoying people in this web game we played called Nation States. That's when I hear what sounded like a faint scratching. I ignored it at first, thinking it was just the neighbors, but then I heard a large slap against the glass. I thought, what the fuck? And that was a bit unnecessary. I decided to pull back the curtains, and there was the same weird dude before staring back at me. Now, I shared a bedroom with my little brother who was just going into kindergarten. I slept on the pullout while he slept on his own bunk. I immediately felt my heart drop for a moment and wasn't sure what was going to happen next because it seemed so surreal. I told my brother to get up and go into my mom's room and tell her to call the police because there was a man outside. I immediately ran out of the room after basically pushing him out as quickly as I possibly could and went to the side closet where I kept my stuff. Now, my dad didn't like me living in the big cities alone with my mom, so he got me a gun to protect myself when I was younger. It was a long rifle. I always kept it unloaded and on safety. Well, I loaded that thing up and took it off safety. Then the patio light went off. This dude was trying to break into my house and force the door open. I immediately pulled the rifle up and yelled at him that if he tried to come through the door, I'd fucking murder him. Obviously not the best words of choice since we lived on the bottom floor and had neighbors above us. Not only that, but it could have been bad if I had shot him before he passed through the door and was outside the door itself. He kind of froze up and then got a hold of himself and bolted. My mom came back having called the cops and was terrified to death since she originally thought my brother just had a nightmare, but saw me with a gun. The cops eventually came and then left. There was really no evidence, and the description I gave never went anywhere. But goddamn, that was probably the scariest stuff I've been through in my life. To whoever you were, intruder, let's not meet again, or you may lose more than a dull look next time. This last Saturday I was smoking a cigarette outside of a bar and I saw a car pull up followed by a drunk woman staggering over saying, "That's my Uber." I politely told her to make sure to ask the driver what his name was and see if it matches what it says on the app. Turned out to be the right guy. It was a little awkward approaching her, but I've lurked in this subreddit for too long to just be a bystander. It felt really good knowing that I made the right choice to speak up, even though nothing bad would have happened. Just wanted to pass that along because you never know when you might be able to help someone get out of a scary situation. Hey everyone, Spooky Click here. I just wanted to thank anyone who's listened or subscribed or watched, whether it's for one story or for my multiple videos now. Just wanted to give you guys a big thank you. I also wanted to really give a shout out to Mr. Davis, who actually shouted me out on Twitter earlier, which is a huge thing. Thank you so much for that. I've listened to his videos for a while, and I will link his channel in the description because he has a much bigger library than I do right now, and he's really, really good. So I'd recommend going and subbing to him. Subbing? Yeah, that's close enough. But yeah, so I wanted to thank everyone. If anyone had any stories they wanted to submit at all, I check the Gmail every couple of days. It'll be at the end credits, the hard drive spinning. Or you can look me up on Twitter. Either one is good. Yeah, and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.